Right, yeah, of course.
With everything that's been going on at Ubisoft, you might be wondering, are they finally fixing their act? Are we actually gonna get some good Assassin's Creed games again, or will it just keep getting worse? Now, you might already know that Marc-Alexis Côté, the former boss of Assassin's Creed franchise, left Ubisoft after 20 years of working there. Only that's not true because the dude got booted, as he himself confirmed in this very lengthy LinkedIn post, which I'm not gonna read again, but here's the translation. I was shit at my job and wanted to keep making shitty games, so Ubisoft offered me a smaller role which I declined, so they fired me. Now don't worry, he wasn't the original creator or anything like that. That was Patrice Dessalles, who left quite a while back. This guy was only responsible for some of the most disappointing entries in the series. He was the game director on Assassin's Creed 3, my least favorite game from the PS3, Xbox 360 era. He was the creative director on Assassin's Creed Syndicate, an absolute garbage game. He was also the senior producer on Odyssey and Valhalla, two more shitty games I didn't even bother picking up. Now, after Mirage came out, the guy got full control of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and that's when he pushed out AC Shadows. So basically every game he's worked on was either mid or straight up bad, and the one he was fully responsible for turned out to be a steaming pile of dog shit, which despite all the media manipulation trying to hail it as a huge success, failed spectacularly, and we all kinda knew it. But now with Mark being forced to leave, it basically confirms everything, because no one in their right mind would fire him if the game was actually profitable. But anyways, now the thing is, it might actually sound like a good news, but is it really? With Tencent in the picture, naturally you would think that they've started listening to the fans, that maybe they'll take Assassin's Creed back to its roots, just a high quality game with a decent story about assassins and Templars, free of all the gender, identity and political bullshit. And maybe that's why there was some news flying around a few days back about a cancelled post-Civil War Assassin's Creed game with a black lead, but more on that in a bit. The thing is, if you're a fan and somehow still care about Assassin's Creed franchise, don't get your hopes up, because Mark alone wasn't responsible for the disaster that Assassin's Creed Shadows was, or the overall sorry state of this franchise from a decade or so. There are still a ton of activists working there, so yeah, there's more rot than you can imagine. That brings us to another reason why Mark had to go. Just in case you didn't know, Daddy's boy Charlie Guillemot is the co-CEO of Vantage Studios. The guy left Ubisoft to work on whatever the f this is, but that failed, so he came back. And Ubisoft Guillemot appointed him as the co-CEO of Vantage Studios alongside Christophe Durenis to retain some form of control over their flagship games. That's why, despite being much more experienced than Charlie, Mark had to go, because Ubisoft wanted someone closer to its new organizational structure. So yeah, Daddy's boy here is more suitable for the position than Mark, which says a lot. But anyways, if Tencent wants to see Assassin's Creed actually make sales again, they'd have to replace like 70% of the activists and parasites with the actual talented devs. So personally, I don't think there's any hope until Tencent somehow manages to gobble the whole thing up, which might eventually happen because Ubisoft's share price has been in free fall. It's dropped 90% in the last 5 years and 15% in just the last month. Ubisoft stock might be crashing, but thanks to you legends, my channel's going up. So if you're new here and enjoying the content, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to drop a like and your disdain for Ubisoft in the comments down below. Thank you. The thing is, actual gamers, the chuds, who are a clear majority by the way, are just sick of Ubisoft's bullshit. They don't care about these games anymore, if you can even call them games to begin with, because they're just political messaging devices and that's it. Which brings us to the cancelled AC game set in the post-Civil War era, where you would play as a former black slave turned assassin fighting against a Triple K. Now, just a few days back, all these game journals whose sole purpose in life seems to be fondling the U-balls lost their minds over it, because the game was supposedly cancelled due to the negative reaction to Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows from the worst corners of gamerdom. Now, I'll actually say this, the premise of a former slave turned assassin is pretty solid and would have actually made for a great game if some indie devs made it instead of Ubisoft, because Ubisoft is simply not capable of making a good game anymore. But no, apparently it's your fault. You toxic racist bigot, it's your fault we're not getting such a masterpiece. Okay, so if gamers are so toxic and racist, tell me why did no one complain about the Freedom Cry DLC? You know why? Because Ariwale was a solid, well-written and likable character, with an actual character arc, unlike Yasuke who had a character flatline. The guy showed more personality in way less screen time than Yasuke ever did in countless hours. I mean, just look at this scene.
The boy I fled the same fate.
Why would you risk recapture?
Men of principle know the bigger risk is to turn away.
Jesus, Addy, what the hell happened here?
You happened here, Edward. The damage you caused 6 years ago has not been undone.
I'm not an easy man to call a friend, am I? Is that why you're here?
To fight beside a man so driven by personal gain and glory is a hard thing, Edward. And I have come to feel the assassins and their creed a more honorable course. Have I been unfair?
Like, I wasn't expecting Adiwali to have such a profound impact on Edward's story. I thought he'd just stay there as the best friend quartermaster till the end, no problems, but he straight up confronts Edward and calls him out. The guy had his own thinking and he actually felt like a human. That's why, despite wanting more of Edward's story, playing as Adiwali was such a good experience for me. My only complaint with the Freedom Cry DLC was that the story was too short and didn't really add much overall. In fact, I would have preferred if the last PS3 era game was about Adiwali instead of Shay, but anyways. The thing is, literally no one complained about Adiwali being a black assassin, just like no one complained about Altair being an Arab, Ezio being an Italian, Connor being a native, or Bayek being an Egyptian. You know why? Because they actually fit the damn setting. Crazy concept, I know. Anyways, let's talk about the real reason Yasuke got so much backlash in the first place. Now, I'm not a historian, and Yasuke's history isn't really well documented anyway, so I won't be diving too deep into that. But from what I've heard, Yasuke was not some legendary samurai. He probably stayed in Japan for only a year or so, and then was sent back when Lord Nobunaga died. And one thing I can very confidently say is that he never romanced Nobunaga's sister, or another dude, or a trans dude for that matter. Then there's the piss poor writing. Right from the start, Lord Nobunaga just looks at him and decides, oh yeah, this guy has the instincts of a warrior and speaks Japanese, so he's the one. And just with 1 month of training, he becomes the best samurai ever. And the mentor literally says this:
Know what Lord Nobunaga saw in you when he first sent you, but I'm glad that he did. You may yet prove to be the most promising student to ever study Shinkaguryu.
They basically handed everything to him on a plate. There was no struggle or any growth whatsoever. A slight tweak to the story would have made way more sense. Like maybe he came to Japan when he was quite a lot younger, trained for years, and had to actually earn his place while still facing tremendous hardships as an outsider. That would have been realistic and would have actually made you connect with the character and his struggles. But instead, they just showed him as the best samurai and the most noblest warrior in the world. Believe me when I say this. No one would have had a problem with Yasuke if they prioritized the character writing instead of checking the DEI list or whatever the they use. The hilariously bad voice acting, low quality facial animations, shallow character writing, ridiculous dialogue, forced messaging, and abysmally bad music. All of that adds up to why Yasuke got so much pushback. Fans saw it coming from a mile away. They already knew it would just be propaganda-filled bullshit, and to no one's surprise, they were right. So no, it's not because of Yasuke as a character or the gamers that Ubisoft cancelled the quote-unquote best Assassin's Creed game ever. It was cancelled because of Ubisoft themselves, because they make shitty games. Also, I don't even think that they cancelled it entirely because of the Yasuke situation. It certainly was a factor, but there is something else. The thing about Ubisoft is that they love to copy trends, and since every major title these days is shoving a girl boss into the game, Ubisoft, being the copycat it is, obviously wanted to do the same. That's exactly why Assassin's Creed Hex will have a female protagonist who's rumored to be a lesbian, and the story will be about female empowerment. Because of course, this exact same formula has been working so well for every other game. The trailer for Inter Girl Boss the Activist Prophet got ratioed, Sony refuses to say anything about the sales numbers for Ghost of Yotei, Star Wars Outlaws was a massive flop, and there are countless other examples proving that this shit does not work because gamers don't want it. But what can I say? In their delusional world, 52% of gamers are females. But that's a topic for another video. Anyways, here's the thing. Nothing's getting fixed at Ubisoft anytime soon. Because with just 25% stake in the company, Tencent is not gonna step in and micromanage everything. They'll only interfere if Vantage Studios make a huge mess. So I'm sure we're still gonna see a lot of slop from Ubisoft. The only game I'm looking forward to is the Black Flag remake, only because it's the remake of the best game in the series, and I would say it's hard to screw that up. But as for the franchise, despite the fact that I grew up loving it, it can rot and die for all I care. I don't give a damn about any new entry in the series, but that's just me. Anyways, I'll leave you at that. Do let me know what do you think about all this Ubisoft drama in the comments down below. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.